this video, what you see is the systems map of the stakeholders, the key stakeholders in our food system, in our envisioned food system for 2050. We have about 20 key stakeholders out of the numerous stakeholders that we have itemized. The network and the interactions between these stakeholders are diverse, but we have connected them in ways in which we would be able to explain. And in this video, I will take you through some of these interactions. In this systems map, we have 20 key stakeholders, as I mentioned. We have the circular waste recovery engineer, we have logistics officer, we have peri-urban farmers, we have blockchain developers, AI experts, micro farmers, synthetic biologists, policy maker, food journalists, food processors, system level designers, cultural culinary anthropologists, large food corporates, food intellectual property lawyers, investors, food nutritionists, food banks, food safety officers, food innovation champion, prosumers, and consumers. During refinement, we created characters to mirror these key stakeholders, and some of them will be introduced to you in the story for our full vision. But we can start with any of these key stakeholders, but I will start with the policy maker, who in our story is known as Kemi Kuti. The policy maker in our vision will will create policies ensuring food safety, and the food safety officer will enforce these regulations across the value chain. The food safety officer will ensure or enforce compliance with these regulations across the value chain. The policymaker will also make policies regulating food intellectual property, which we believe will be a commodity that can be traded and can be monetized in the future. The food intellectual property lawyers will have the job of interpreting these property laws to ensure that they are being adequately mainstream or being adequately interpreted, so to speak. The investor will provide funds for capital across the food value chain for a stake in enterprises or for returns on investment. The food innovation champion will drive in innovative food future across the food value chain. The food innovation champion, in partnership with the synthetic biologist, will drive and provide alternative protein sources and alternative to natural organic meals. But the food safety officer will ensure that the proper regulations are being followed. The food nutritionist will provide information on healthy food choices in partnership with the food journalist, who will provide feedback on food produced by these producers, especially the large food corporates, to ensure that healthy foods are being produced. And in cases where unhealthy foods are being produced, especially processed foods, the policymakers who would already have made policies or fines for payment for fines for unhealthy foods will ensure that revenue is being generated by some of these large food corporates. The culinary and cultural anthropologists will receive locally grown food products from the micro farmers and also from the synthetic biologists. Excess food will be distributed to food banks, which will prevent and reduce food waste and loss. The food banks will distribute this excess food to the lower class consumers, or the consumers can also receive their food or meet their food demands via digitalized supply chain apps, which will have been created by the system level designers. The blockchain developer will leverage blockchain technology for transparent and cashless payments. The circular waste recovery engineer will ensure profitability from food waste by enforcing regulations to recycling waste, which would be passed by the policy maker. The logistics officer will transport fresh foods produced by the peri-urban farmers as well as the micro farmers, while the AI expert will provide employment opportunities and will be at the center of an AI-enabled future. The policymaker will make policies regulating AI, which, as I mentioned earlier, will take a center stage in the food value chain or in the food system for our 2050 vision. The food processors will change the form of the foods produced from the fresh products to processed products, which improves the shelf life of these products and enables it to keep for much longer, and sometimes or majorly providing a means by which the farmers can be more profitable, reducing the need for them to sell fresh products all the time. The prosumer is going to be a consumer that is also involved in production of food products. As I mentioned earlier, these are some of the interactions between these key stakeholders, and we hope and we are projecting that these key stakeholders will form the base for a food system in 2050 where we will have closely knit communities with healthy meals and nourishing diets produced by innovative sources that replenish the earth. Thank you.